the first thing I'll have you do is just kind of introduce yourself by way of introduction. I'm Dennis Thompson. I was a drummer in the MC5, and kind of any other kind of high points of your career that you'd like to include. Anything that you feel is important about your career. Just kind of briefly by way of introduction, because we may or may not, we may have somebody else kind of talking about you slide into your segment, or we may have you, introduce yourself. You can't know until you cut it together and see how it works. But we'll get that, and then we have just a few questions, kind of, about your influences and growing up in Detroit, and, taking up music. And then we'll have a few questions about Detroit itself, and then kind of into a conversational thing about your career in particular.
Sure.
Okay, so just go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and a little bit about your career.
I am a co-creating, self-aware human animal, joyfully exploring the wonders of the space-time universe, also known as Dennis Machinegun Thompson from the MC5. I've been around Detroit. The other band members had moved away from Detroit, so I've stayed in Detroit. I'm the only member that has lived here all my life. And I've watched the changes that Detroit has gone through. And I was here for the riots, and I was here for the evolution, basically, of instrumental music, which is what we used to listen to in grade school, middle school, and high school. We used to listen to the Kingsmen, Louie, the Contours, Do You Want to Dance? And we used to listen to Johnny and the Hurricanes, and Dwayne Eddy, and the black vocal groups. They were more like a cappella groups, Imperials and whatnot. That was back in the 50s for us. And I think I heard Marshall point out, Marshall Crenshaw, shouts to Marshall, thanks for doing a tour with us in 2004 and 2005, that yes, the black populace had migrated to Detroit City for work, and vis-a-vis the Underground Railway. And what they brought with them was their music. And their music was pretty widespread, not just gospel, but their music evolved into rhythm and blues, and primarily blues and jazz. So if you want to break down the evolution of music in Detroit, you've got, basically you have young white subculture into hot cars, drag strips, and getting into trouble in various suburbs, fights at the football games. There was never knives and guns and all that. It was just, kids, teenagers being teenagers. There weren't a lot of deaths. Drugs weren't big then. Beer was big. And at that point in time, the 50s evolving into the 60s, then we started to see white rock and roll bands coming out of the garages and the basements in Detroit. And those were numerous. There were, at any given point, I would say, let's say 1966, when I graduated high school, Lincoln Park High School, there had to be 30, 35, 40 bands at that time that were all making music, and no one was signed to a label. Detroit was off the map for white rock and roll bands at the time. Motown was big. Motown ruled the airwaves through the 60s and the 70s. And so finally, what happened was this crazy band called the MC5 decided that it would be a good idea to play for free. And the point of that being is we put our heads together and we said, you know what, there's not a lot of paying gigs here. My first gig playing with the MC5 was at a shop, a beer bar. One drunk 90-year-old man passed out on the table, beer and vomit flowing down, and he was our customer. We went up there and played My Generation by The Who to our customer. And I was told by Wayne Kramer when he asked me to join the band, this was our first big gig. I was asked by Wayne Kramer, told by Wayne Kramer that it's going to be great, man. It's going to be really cool. So he put a spin on it that got me interested. So what happened was, I'm just going to skip really quick to finish this point, is that there wasn't any record company focus on Detroit. There's all this music happening, tons of music. So we figured if we could get these bands, and I really don't want to name all the bands because I'm going to miss 10 of them, and they're going to, I don't want them to be upset that I didn't say their name. But suffice it to say there were a good 30 of them. I said, let's get together and play in the parks for free. Let's get together and maybe hit some college campuses and play for free. The idea behind that being is that all of us could build up our fan base by co-opting another band's fan base. So if we have 5 bands or 6 bands playing short sets at, say, Gallup Park or West Park in Ann Arbor, they brought their fans, the other band brought their fans, we brought our fans, and all of a sudden everybody's just quintupled, possibly, the number of people that they were exposed to. So we kept doing this and doing this. We play for free. We'd drive across Michigan to play just to get the opportunity to build a fan base because we knew that we weren't going to get a record contract the way things were going.